spot, we're going to be having a look at Spectacular Spider-Man Spider Charged Shocker. If you've watched my symbiote or black costume Spider-Man review, I had commented that yet, unfortunately, while they had all the figures, Shocker eluded me. And he had eluded me actually up to the point that a good friend of mine actually picked this guy up when he was at his local Toys R Us. I don't think it was his local Toys R Us, but one of the Toys R Us's. So I say thank you to you, sir. Thank you for grabbing me, Shocker. And he eludes me no more. So before we actually open this guy up and look at the very cool Shocker, we'll look at the packaging here. So we've got Spider-Man up at the top, pretty much the exact same packaging. Yet again, they throw us another spider. The interesting thing about this particular spider as well is if you watched my review of the Spider Charged Venom, what that looks to be the same spider that they used, it is actually in fact not. It is a different spider. So they've come through yet again. Although I'm pretty sure that spider was reused, it looks like it's almost the same spider as the Sandman. I might have to actually go back and watch the review again. But they've given us a blue spider. On the back of the packaging, collectible cyber spider included. Ooh, yeah. The other figures in this wave are the black costume Spider-Man. Don't be alarmed. You can actually take that armor off. So that figure actually is pretty cool, as you've seen my review of him without this garish armor. We've also got the unsavable Spider-Man down here with his gauntlets. I don't know why they've got this red black armor. I don't know. They've got regular Spider-Man here, and then they've also got a Green Goblin, which is rather interesting. It's not necessarily a repaint. It is a repaint in the sense of the figure, but they give you all these other accessories. Certainly not enough for this guy to want to pick him up, but interesting nonetheless. So there we have other figures in this wave. There we have packaging on Shocker. What I'm going to do is I'll get this guy opened up and we will get a closer look at Shocker. So stay tuned. I think that was my Shocker impression. That was my impression. I know it was terrible. But now that we've opened up this very cool figure, let's get a closer look at him. Before we actually look at Shocker, you're going to have to stay there right now, fella. We're going to have a look at the spider that he comes with. Again, I think I've mentioned this already, but I'm not a big fan of spiders. But pretty neat looking spider though. I don't know what you would really do with it if you're just a collector and you put these on display. I guess you probably put spiders all over the place if you're into that. But he does come with his spider. He also does come with this shock blast or kind of shock wave energy beam. I'll actually get into that just in a second. Before we actually look at that though, let's look at the meat and potatoes of this review. Let's look at the Shocker itself. And boy oh boy, that is a nice looking figure. That is a nice looking Shocker. As you can see, he looks just like Shocker from the cartoon. Right down to his very cool visor. And I would almost... Nope, it's not coming off. I was going to say I would almost be willing to bet that that is a permanent piece. You're not going to take that off. If you take it off, well, sucker, you ain't taking it. You are not going to be putting it back on, that's for sure. But I do like the coloring. I like the purple and the yellow. He's got that kind of snake cross print that Shocker is known for. Yeah, just give you guys a close... give you guys a rotation on the figure here. And of course he's got his Shocker gauntlets on as well. Now his articulation, he has a ball jointed head, so you get lots of movement there. He has ball jointed shoulders, if you could believe it as well. He has just a jointed elbow. You can't really do too much other than bend the elbow. No articulation in the waist, but he does have a ball jointed leg. He has a single pointed knee articulation. Unfortunately though, he he has no articulation in the foot. And I say unfortunately because if you look at his foot, his foot curls a certain way, and it almost looks like, for how it's sculpted, there should be an ankle articulated point, but sadly no. So while getting him to stand necessarily on a hard surface isn't going to be a problem, getting him to stand here is a little more of a chore. But I do like the fact, I will say, I do love the fact that he has all this other articulation, especially articulated shoulders. And that's unfortunately the one problem that I had with, well, not one problem, but that's one problem I had with Electro, is the fact that he didn't have articulated shoulders. As you can see, he only just had a rotation in the arm itself, but that's all you could get. I also brought Electro into this video as well, just to kind of give you guys a comparison of the two. This is cool figure where a gimmick will ruin the figure. This is bad. This is bad. This is a figure where its gimmick does not ruin the figure. This is good. And going back to his blast attack here, what you can actually do is take his blast and you can peg it into his hand. Whoop! Just dropped it. I think I've dropped more things in the span of YouTube on the floor than I have any other time. But the idea is you can peg his energy blast into his hand, and then although it doesn't want to hold all that well, let's try that again. There we go. As you can see, he's got this really cool sonic shock blast thing going on here. It would have been nice if they had included two, although it looks like from how hard it is for this guy to hold on to it, it doesn't want to stay in his hand very well. It probably is in my best interest that I didn't come with two, but it's pretty neat that he does include that. And again, it's nice that you can put on something like this, or you can take it off and you still have a figure. While Shocker here, unfortunately, has this arm thing that I really didn't like the first time I reviewed him. Why you couldn't have had just something like this and had normal hands, I really don't know. But that's besides the point. Shocker, needless to say, is a great looking figure, and it's disappointing that this is so heavy that it doesn't want to stay in his hand. That aside though, well worth the money if you're a fan of the Spectacular Spider-Man toy line and you want to pick up the villains. Shocker definitely should be up on the list along with Green Goblin. Very, very nice. What I would give him out of 10, I probably would give him about maybe a 7. Maybe a 7 or so. But something you'd want to check out though, that's Spectacular Spider-Man, and that was the Spider Charged Shocker. So I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys next time. Later.